It's time for another garden update. We had 1.5 inches of rain yesterday, and there was very large hail all around us, and we ended up not getting any hail, so we're feeling pretty blessed this morning. We'll start down here on the north end. The petunias, like they always look after a hard rain, they aren't looking so hot. I'll just show you what that one over there looked like yesterday before it rained. Just about everything is really starting to grow well now, and you might have noticed already that I have the shade cloth up. What I went by on temperatures for when I decided to put it up, I was just keeping an eye on the weather forecast, and once I saw that there was going to be 3 days in a row with temperatures above 85, I decided to put up the shade cloth. Tomatoes in the topsy-turvy tree are doing okay. One thing I had, each of them got little splits in them from a windstorm we had not long ago. Lucky they didn't break off. I just put a zip tie on all of them, and I may add another one lower just to make sure they don't split any farther. But they're looking all right. Tomatoes over here in the straw bale. We're starting to get quite a few little tomatoes. And this is the Tasmanian chocolate, and it's got lots of blooms on it. Even a fourth of them set on will get plenty of tomatoes. But there's starting to be little ones up the top of it. That's Jade Beauty, I think it's called. It's a dwarf also. It's getting tomatoes on it, and also has blooms at the top. The Serendipity are just now starting to set on. I just pulled a couple of onions this morning. Some of those are getting really large. The carrots over there finally starting to grow a little bit. And we have some ginger growing here in this row. Sweet potatoes down at the base of the straw bales are doing a lot better now that it's warmed up. That's a Little Fingers eggplant there. Looks like I got some insect damage on that one, but we've got lots of tomatoes. I'm going to be spraying for insects on the tomatoes today or tomorrow. Got a busy day today. Iotas starting to set on a few peppers. And I had one little bitty pepper out here in one of the hybrids that has a little pepper on it. And that's supposed to be the 3945. It's supposed to have tomatoes that get up to 4 pounds, but just judging by the blooms, I'm wondering if this isn't a hybrid or something, because normally the types that get the large tomatoes will have those large double blooms and look a little bit different than those look. Kind of like some of the blooms on this giant Belgium. Have the big blooms on it. You end up with kind of oblong, funny looking tomatoes, but they get a lot bigger. Speaking of funny looking tomatoes, this is an Aunt Ruby's German green, and that's one butt ugly tomato, I'll tell you. I don't know how big it'll get, but that came from one of those big funny looking blooms. All of the peppers are really starting to grow a lot better, as well as the eggplants. It's a Matoyo there. Rositas. It's a Big Bang. No, I'm sorry, this is a Big Daddy. pepper. It's got quite a few peppers on it. We've got basil planted between the eggplants. Cucumbers over there starting to grow. Then over there by the fence I've just got some random stuff I just stuck where I could find a place to stick it. Got sunflowers, some peppers, even got a little marigold and some basil over there too. But so far I'm satisfied considering what we've had this year to work with. It's doing pretty well. There's the fairy tale eggplant. It's got some eggplants on it. There's that Hungarian sweet pepper. It's getting little peppers on it. Growing some parsley for the black swallowtail caterpillars. They go through a lot of food. I'll show you a clip of those real quick. And speaking of caterpillars, this is a butterfly weed I had in the house, and the monarch caterpillar stripped it pretty bare. I swapped it out with another plant and they're working it over pretty good too. I think this one will recover. It's got a little new growth coming out, so I think it'll be okay. And it'll probably shoot some more shoots up from the base. That just goes to show you how much they eat. All the stuff in the grow bags is doing pretty well. This sweet potato here, I noticed this morning, this is a red garnet. It's got some really pretty little blooms on it. Normally I don't see a whole lot of blooms on my sweet potatoes, but that one's already got some. This is the one with the mixed sweet potatoes, 4 types in one bag. We'll see how that works on later on. Ping tongue eggplant. All the ornamental peppers. They're just starting to look a lot better. So in a week or two, I think we'll see peppers on most of them. This grow bag's a little behind the others, but I think it'll catch up. Just starting to grow. 4 peppers in that grow bag. I'll be removing those plastic forks soon. That's to keep the cats out. I have a whole row of the hybrid corn. It's a cross between a grocery store popcorn and glass gem corn. And then the second row I have the same thing, different color kernels down on the end, and closer to me the last 5 are glass gem corn. And what I plan to do is when the glass gem corn starts to show tassels, I'm going to cut those off so it will not fertilize the hybrids, but the hybrids will fertilize the glass gem corn. And then the smaller corn here will be much later, and we shouldn't have any problems with that crossing. Sunflowers, they're getting close to fence tall. And the Mexican sunflowers, really growing well now. And should have flowers before too long. While I'm over here, this Cleopatra canna is kind of cool looking. It's got that red streak all the way up the stem, the flower stem, and the flowers even got kind of the same coloration in it. It should be blooming by the next update. Then we have this, well, there's 2 sunflowers side by side, and they're getting pretty close to up in at the edge of the shed roof. Fennel, that's what I've been feeding the black swallowtail caterpillars with, and it's really growing well. That's some sage down there. different type of sage, pineapple sage. We've got a little bit of dill, but not too much. Everything's looking pretty well. Here's a look at the Washita blackberries. I've got a couple of those new growth canes that are getting almost as tall as a shed, so I'm going to top those soon. So they'll kind of produce a little side growth. Our first sunflower to bloom was away from the main garden, kind of over here on the side where the peach tree is. And the peach tree is starting to get some color on the peaches. It's got quite a few peaches on, and it's growing like crazy. Semi-dwarf, I don't know, it doesn't really mean much, I don't think, because it just keeps growing. And I pruned it back quite a bit this spring, so a lot of that is new growth. The banana tree, it's getting close to as tall as me. Got a little ways to go. Then we have the Musa velutina, and it's starting to grow pretty well, even though it's getting kind of shaded by the other banana tree. While I'm here, I'll show you that Hot Pops purple ornamental pepper. That sucker is loaded. Here's a quick look at the squash climbing and the pole beans climbing. I've kind of skipped over a lot of stuff in this video. I got a busy morning this morning and got a couple other quick videos to do. There's a new addition to the garden. This is a mason bee house that we bought locally. It was a really good price. I couldn't pass up. We'll see whether they use that one or my homemade ones first. If you'd like any more details about anything in particular, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. I can't promise anything, but it's always good to know what folks out there are wanting to see. So just let me know. And if you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Otherwise, like, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.